and welcome. My name's Gail Porter and you're tuned into Careers TV, your guide to the careers available in Britain's 21st century job market. So far, our careers locomotive has taken you from construction and engineering to finance, to law, careers in the environment and science and technology. We will shortly be arriving at careers in architecture. Please make sure you have all your belongings with you when you leave the train. There are many definitions of the word architecture, but our favourite is the art and science of designing buildings and structures. The word architecture comes from the Greek architekton, where archi means master and tekton means builder. The first of history's great builders were the ancient Egyptians, with the creations like the temple complex at Karnak and the great pyramids of Giza, standing the test of 4 and 5 millennia respectively. Those feats of early architecture took decades and entire cities of slave labourers to complete, with stone structures usually hewn out of monolithic rocks and levered into place using fantastic manpower. The Greeks and Romans can be credited with taking architecture to the next level with the development of standardised craftsmanship, the use of cement, concrete, and the first instances of the masonry arch. In the following millennia, architects honed and adapted the breakthroughs of the classical period and adapted their own generational styles, from Gothic in the Middle Ages to Baroque in the Renaissance, to the neoclassical and neo-Gothic revivals in the 18th and 19th centuries, to the hundreds of divergent architectural expressions of the 20th and 21st centuries, from Art Deco and Art Nouveau to deconstructivism and even blobbytecture. The game may have changed completely since Iktinos, Callicrates and Phidias took hammer, chisel and slave labourer to the Parthenon. But the key player is still the same. An architect is essentially a person who translates a user's requirements into a built environment. So why be an architect?
The wonderful thing underlying all aspects of the profession of architecture is that underlying creativity that runs all the way through your daily life, really. It's not just about art, it's about making a difference to people's lives through the spaces and places that you make. It's about understanding the materials that you use and really the way people will actually use those places and spaces that you actually design.
It's a fascinating subject, it really is. You know, if you're interested in things and you've got that inquisitive nature, I think it's a fascinating subject to study, outside of academia. And I loved every minute of it, and it's a hard old slog, and people go on about it. Oh, it's 6 years, and it's a tough degree as well. But it's not like studying. I mean, it's a profession, but it's not like studying medicine or law. It's not like that. It's almost kind of giving you the opportunity to explore your creativity. So it's very different to other professions. But I think it's important to have that creative edge to you. I think that is an important skill. Because the opportunity of having 6 years at university allows you to develop that. And I think that's what architectural education is about. It's about exploring new ideas, learning things, and being creative, being original. I think that's the key, really.
It's good to be an architect because you can influence the world around you in every way. We shape society in a physical sense, create buildings that everyone around us can appreciate and use.
So you've decided that architecture is the thing for you. You've bought a set of 20 colour pencils and bought the black and white poster, you know the one, the workers having lunch on the beams of a half-built Empire State Building. With those vital steps behind you, you should think about how best to prepare yourself for a career in the industry. Qualifications are always a good starting point. Now you've got the right credentials, the only thing left for you now is to get your application on. But even with a string of letters after your name that make the MI6 suspect that you were trying to get a coded message to Osama, firms are not going to hire you unless you've got the right mix of qualities. So what do our architects think makes a good applicant?
To be an architect, you really have to possess many skills, but you should really have a passion for people and for the built environment. However, once you get into practice, it's really important to have a kind of diversity of skills. And a lot of those surround about not only the typical things such as being imaginative and those design skills, but also being very good with people and also having really good communication skills to talk to not only colleagues and other professionals, but also to clients as well. It's also really important to have good kind of spatial thinking and design ideas, but it's also just as important to have aspects of leadership and responsibility, because those are really important in the day-to-day running of each job.
I think if you have abilities in art and maths, there's a definite advantage, although the training at architecture school is in such a way that it really develops your mind anyway. So even if you start and you're not that way inclined, I think the training really starts to develop your skills and your way of thinking, more importantly. So it's not so important to start off with.
In terms of a good applicant, obviously design skills are vital, but if you haven't got a good attitude and you're not willing to learn, that's not going to help you greatly. So we look for attitude and application, a willingness to learn, because at the end of your college training or university training in architecture, there's still an awful lot to learn. Every one of us in a field as broad as architecture needs to learn every day, and if you don't have people that are willing to learn and want to learn, you won't get on very well. So you need to demonstrate that. You need to marry your skills and the things that you want from your career with the job that you want. So you need to work out what you want to get from your career, which aspects of the architectural world interest you, and try and make sure that you marry them with an employer that is like-minded, that will allow you to develop.
What makes a good applicant for me is one that's really enthusiastic. I generally don't see an applicant the first time round, so they've generally been seen by Rob or Nick first, so they've gone through the portfolio and established a reading level of competence and design. Although I want to see their portfolio, I probably just have a quick look to get a flavour of what they're like. But for more, it's more about enthusiasm. Have they researched anything into the practice? Yeah, because much like for us as doing a job, you need to research into a client, know what they're about when you're going for an interview, and you need to be enthusiastic. So it's all those skills that need to come through an interview for us that then they'll have to do when they're interviewing for a job.
We look for graduates with a talent for design, and in this sort of day of computers, what we also look for is the ability to sketch. To communicate by pen, by hand, directly onto paper is still a key attribute to a design talent.
Qualities we look for in recruiting an architect. First and foremost, we look for outstanding design skills, which we see evidenced through portfolios that they bring to interview, or through contacts we have with various universities. Some of our staff are tutoring in local universities. We have good contacts at 4 or 5 universities throughout the UK. So we sometimes get to see and understand the students before they actually come onto the job market. So we're looking for strong designers. We're looking for an interest in technology, because it's something which we're very passionate about here, about materials, how materials are used, appropriate use of materials, and technology, about how materials are fastened and fixed together, and how that technology informs the design. And that's quite important, and we look for that in a student's work.
The qualities you need to have to be successful in architecture, I guess, are a strong sense of observation. Architecture, everyone lives in it, but not everyone observes it. You have lived in a house all your life, but it's not until you're in first year uni that you actually come to design a house. One of our first tasks was designing in a kitchen, and we went to put our heads down, and all of a sudden we really didn't know what a kitchen looked like. And although we've been in one for the past 18 years, so it's that sort of acknowledging your environment around you that really helps, and it's as simple as that. It's such a key understanding of what goes on. Some of the other qualities, being creative really helps. You have to rethink ideas. A lot has already been done, especially across the whole of history. So you've got to keep on coming up with fresh ideas, and that, it keeps things alive.